Hey there. So today we have our class on bullying. I know I said I was going to do it all in one class the other day, but I figured this would be better. So, so here we go. Bullying is a very important subject. There's all sorts of different types. In fact, for our second part of the class today, we'll go over the second type of bullying. So, let's get started. But bullying can happen in many forms. It can be verbal, it can be emotional, it can be cyberbullying, it can be physical. There's all sorts of different types of bullying. And so, it's something to watch out for, and again, to kind of defend and be an ally for others, when they are being bullied. And I know we did this last year, but again, it's already been a whole year. So let's go over what is bullying. So what is it? What does it look like? And again, for this, we don't need to name names or anything like that for anybody. But we do need to go over how it can be. Oh, sorry. My bad. I should have separated this out. So the first sheet is this. Bullying is when someone teases you, calls you names, and that is something we don't want to do. Even the toughest of us, eventually, if somebody calls you a name enough, they can really hurt their feelings. Like when I was a kid, my sisters used to call me Four Eyes because of the glasses, and I never really told them that it hurt my feelings. It's just one of those things. But it did hurt in some ways because it kind of distances yourself from other people. Like I didn't really trust my sisters, and that is actually a story. But I think it was like a legitimate fear of theirs, to not wear glasses. I don't know if it's legitimate, but legitimate child fear. But I do remember going downstairs once, because my family had in Utah, everybody kind of has a basement. In some places, you're not supposed to have a basement because it's not that safe. But I went downstairs, and that's where my sister's room was. Both my sisters. And I don't remember if it was one or both of them, but at least one of them was praying that they wouldn't get glasses like their brother. And I was like, how? But again, it was for them, it was a legitimate fear. They didn't know I overheard it, but it's one of those things that happens. So they weren't calling me a name or anything like that, but it's also not good to talk to people behind their back. Especially maybe not God. I mean, if you believe in God, it's kind of it's a very extreme way of dealing with it. But again, teasing, calling people names, things like that. It's best to avoid it. You can do the exact opposite. You can encourage people. You can let them know what an amazing person they are. So, there's that for sure. So the next part is this. Bullying is when someone scares you or yells at you. And that is definitely an angry person in that picture. And that is definitely a form of bullying. Nobody deserves to be yelled at. And if somebody's scaring you or frightening you, then it's something that you definitely need to bring up. Or if you see in somebody else that they're frightened by somebody else, it's something that's the time to be an ally and let that person know. Say, hey, I'm on your side. Let's figure this out. And I think we've all kind of gone through that before, where somebody yells at us, and honestly, there is no cause. Unless it's, I mean, the only way that I think it's okay to yell at somebody, and not yell at them, and not scare them for sure, but I mean, well, I guess it is yelling. But if somebody's like out in the middle of the street, or they're in a dangerous situation, and they don't notice that maybe a car's coming down the street or something like that, it's okay to yell at somebody at that point. Say, ah, get out of the road. Go. I mean, as you're running towards them to help them. You know. See, even my dog right there, just slight inflection on my voice, and she's like, what's going on? You know, so it's something that it's definitely, that in that situation, it's okay. The rest of the time, to yell at somebody to get what you want, or to belittle them, or to scare them, that's bullying. There's no real cause for it at all. There's no reason that it's a good idea. All right. Next part. Now, I don't know. But bullying is when someone pushes you around. You know, like, I'm gonna hurt you. You know, or, you know, watch out, basically. I don't know how many of you have been in situations like that where somebody's kind of told you, like, hey, you don't do what I say, then something bad's going to happen to you. So we don't want that. That is one of the worst forms of bullying. And it needs to be reported. I worked with kids before, and you can kind of tell when something is going on. You know, such as bruises and things like that showing up on a child. And, you know, so there's CPS that you can call. I mean, when it comes to kids, but there's also APS. So CPS is Child Protective Services. There's also APS, which is Adult Protective Services. So if someone is, you know, crossing a line that way, then it should be reported and made sure that something's done about it, because it's a very serious situation. All right, next part. And the page will come apart. Oh, so that would help, and it really didn't. Okay, there we go. I'm going to separate this out so that we have the next page ready to go. And bullying can make you feel sad and depressed. It is definitely something that when it happens often enough that people withdraw and they don't really want to go anywhere. Because it hurts very much inside. And, it can be name calling, it can be the threatening, it can be the scaring, it can be all sorts of things. But eventually, if it keeps happening, it will actually get to you. And that's why it's best to make sure that you advocate for yourself. If you feel as though you can't advocate for yourself 100%, but you're willing to talk about something, which is, a wonderful thing to happen, then, ask somebody else to be an ally with you. And I would always be that ally with you all. And I'd help stand up with you and for you, depending on what you need or what you want. Because I don't want anybody to feel sad and depressed. Bullying can make you feel afraid. So, it's kind of the same in that you don't really want to go anywhere. It's debilitating. It takes away from your confidence. And so, it's best to have people in your corner. It's best to know that you do have people in your corner, which you all do. And feel free to speak up anytime. Because I never want anyone to feel afraid. It's one of the worst feelings in the world where you're really, just scared. And so make sure that you let people know. This is how I'm feeling. This is what's happening. And tell someone that you really trust. And hopefully things will change. The next one is bullying. Whoa. Sorry, bullying can make you feel angry. And for a lot of the time, there's fight, flight, and there's also freeze. But when people are being bullied, a lot of times there's a lot of fight that comes out in them, and they feel angry, and they don't know exactly what to do. And so they feel upset, and they feel ready to go to battle. Now, anger is not the best way to deal with the situation. Typically, it only causes more things. And one thing about bullying is that it definitely leads, if people let it leads to you bullying other people. If somebody bullies you, a lot of times it leads to you bullying other people, and hence the anger. If this is what's happening to me, then I'm going to let it happen. And I'm going to be a part of it as well. But we don't want it to get to that point. We want to try to avoid that as much as possible. The next part is bullying can make you feel alone. And depending on who you are a lot of the time, and it goes along with being sad and depressed, bullying can make you feel quite alone. Um, and people withdraw and just say, I don't know what else to do. And nobody else is helping me. So I feel alone. And again, this is something that I definitely don't want any of you to feel. I want to make sure that you know that you don't need to feel that way. That you can always come to me and talk to me. And if you don't feel comfortable talking to me, I implore you, if you start to feel alone, to let somebody know. And let them know I'm feeling alone. And this is the reason why. And most people, I believe most people have goodness in their hearts. But you won't really discover it if you keep it all to yourself. So tell somebody. It's a good thing we did this as a 2-part class. This is kind of lengthy. Alright, so we have 2 more pages. So have you or a friend ever been bullied? It says, how did it make you or your friend feel? Well, so I give the question to you. Have you ever? And you always have the right to talk to me about it. Or not. I've had lots of friends that I know that have been bullied. In fact, in some ways, that's how I became their friend, because I became an ally. But the reason I became an ally for them was because I was bullied. I was bullied quite a bit for a while. And I was a bit depressed. No, I was a lot depressed. I shouldn't say bit. See, that's me lessening actually what it is. But I had to come back to find myself. And it took a while. And I felt all the emotions that we just went through. And it took a while. But then once I got past a lot of it, I decided that I need to be an ally for other people. I need to advocate for others. I need to advocate for myself. But then when I see something wrong, I need to advocate for them. For anyone that I see that's going through that. And so, it's kind of the same thing. And I've had friends that have been a lot more severely depressed than me. And I didn't like seeing that. And then lastly, it says, have you ever bullied someone? How did it make you feel? How do you think they felt? Well, I guess I have to be honest. I know we went over it last year. When I was being bullied, I think I was a bit of a bully to my younger brothers. Through name calling, teasing, things like that. I wasn't the nicest person all the time. I mean, I loved them, but looking back on my life, I do think that I bullied them, and I feel bad about it. It made me feel, and it makes me feel still, that I'm apologetic. I want to say I'm sorry constantly, even though they've forgiven me and told me that they've forgiven me. And at first it makes you feel, I think, like you're empowered. But then it had made me feel just a tremendous amount of guilt. And then when I think about how they felt like they didn't trust me anymore. That I'm not somebody that they could rely on when it really came down to it. And it honestly doesn't matter, you know, how much I try to make recompense or apologize for everything. Because sometimes when you lose somebody's trust, then you lose their trust, and sometimes it never comes back. But I did my best, and again, I was very young. So, but at the same time, all I can do is realize that that can never happen again, and it won't ever happen again. So again, this has been about bullying. I've been very honest. If y'all want to share anything, please share. If you don't, I understand. But if you ever need anybody to talk to, if you ever feel alone, if you ever feel scared, if you ever feel depressed or anything like that, and you really need someone to talk to you about it, or just listen, I'll be there for you. And this is how we can combat bullying. So this has been the class for the day. And again, I miss you all. I know I say it a lot, but I really do. I can't wait till we get back and we can laugh together and all that good stuff. So I'll talk to you later. Ciao for now.